The search for quality, the real thing, can be a long and arduous process. But the goal is not so elusive as one might think. What is unusual is that we can never be sure just where quality will appear, or when, or in what form, or in whom. What is surprising is how many different paths people pursue to achieve it. What is reassuring is how unmistakably the real thing can be recognized. This film is about people who strive for quality in their work and about their perception of the added values essential to achieving excellence.
The only way that is apparent to me for a corporation to maintain a quality reputation on a long-run basis is through corporate commitment. The corporation must feel that this is the number one criteria to their long-run success.
In business, as anywhere else, quality begins with commitment. What separates the leaders from the pack are the values added to that basic commitment. At Levi Strauss, one such value is durability. Americans began wearing Levi's 122 years ago. And today? Ed Combs, Executive Vice President.
Levi Strauss is the world's largest manufacturer of pants and general sportswear.
The volume we're dealing with, such as 350,000 units being shipped in any one day to possibly over 24,000 customers. And our stock keeping units are up to over 60,000 now. With these numbers, you can't possibly do your business or operate your business without that processing equipment.
To handle this kind of volume, Levi Strauss operates 4 370s here in America, a 360 in England, and a System 3 in Argentina, with more on order. Why IBM? Howard Melfi, Director, Management Services.
I think IBM is the leading edge of the business, has been for some years now. And the main reason, I guess, is the fact that IBM brings to the floor its tremendous marketing services from all over the world. If you can't get it in San Francisco, they'll bring men from New York or London or what have you. I think this is the difference. This is the main difference. They're experts in their business.
We have a rather large international operation, and we're obviously trying to integrate our worldwide operations on a multinational basis. The ability to work with IBM wherever in the world we have subsidiaries in the same manner as we are able to do domestically is a very great advantage to us.
Quality in a product, whether it be a service or a material product, I think is something intrinsic. And in the case of IBM, quality is our ability to bring to bear a total solution to a problem. And I think the difference between IBM and some of their competition is the fact they go out of their way.
We enjoy a fine relationship with IBM, but there's just one thing. I really wish it were possible for IBM marketing guys to buy and wear as much of our product as we do of their equipment.
It's a lovely day. Look at all the sunshine.
Each year is a new and different year. I tell my players that nothing that happens this year, in my opinion, will be a result of what happened last year, in a sense. You must establish your own identity. I believe it was, I'm not sure, I rather think it was Abraham Lincoln that said, we'll become about what we set out to become. And I think there's something to that.
Once you get to the top, how do you stay there? This man is in a unique position to talk about that. He's Coach John Wooden of UCLA. His teams have won 8 out of the last 9 national collegiate championships.
I definitely feel that once you've reached an apex, so to speak, you try very, very hard to stay there. But you must realize that that everyone's trying a little hard to knock you off too, so that in turn I think, gives you inner desire or compels you to work just a little harder and attempt to really make sure that you're getting the utmost out of the abilities that you have.
Can the search for quality be passed from one generation to the next? There's a father and son racing team in Connecticut that would seem to indicate so. Among other triumphs, Luigi Canetti won the big race at Le Mans 3 times in his lifetime. Now his son is pursuing the same path, with the added value to his career of being a designer as well. He has very definite ideas about quality.
You simply must try and be better than somebody else. You must just outdo, outthink, and outperceive what you think the people want. There are instances in which 2 different design groups make 2 different cars, and one will sell better than the other, and there'll only be minor changes between the 2. You just must try and anticipate the feeling and the mood and the trend better than your competitor. From my point of view, quality in design and in mechanical ability go hand in hand, since we design our own race cars. And since I drove this particular one, we get all 3 groups into it immediately. We designed the car from beginning, put everything into it that we thought was right, and built it the way we thought it should be built. It was at Daytona, so the track speeds are very high, and on the banking you're going very close to 200 miles an hour. And we tested the car successfully, and it ran well. But if it hadn't come through, and you'd had a problem in any one of the phases, whether it's just design concept or putting it together, it would have been a very bad situation, because if something breaks, chances are you die after all, you know.
It's not life or death at Consolidated Freightways if the machines don't work, but it's dollars and cents. And that can be pretty important too. Consolidated is the nation's largest freight carrier, with grosses of over $350 million a year. In 1963, inundated by 35,000 freight bills a day, Consolidated set out to create a DP application that would stem the paper flood. They too chose IBM. Why?
With IBM, we do have the ability to draw on a range of experience we could never get anywhere else.
Don Moffat, Vice President, Financial Planning.
We had a man in Portland who knew as much about Consolidated Freightways and about the program as anybody that worked for me. And I tried to hire him, you know, but it's difficult to hire people from IBM. We had a lot of promises by a lot of companies, including IBM. We finally chose IBM. I guess because we'd had success with them before, and when they said they could do something, they usually did it.
The application created by IBM and Consolidated is becoming a standard for the industry. It will keep instant track of all trucks, cargoes, destinations, and arrivals all over the country. What particular qualities did the people at IBM have to show to be in on this innovative program? Director of Systems and Data Processing, Walt Varner.
We feel that our arrangement in working with IBM has been greatly beneficial because of the terrific depth of the company. They offer a storehouse of manpower and take capability that would be unobtainable anywhere else. We couldn't begin to make a development like this completely on our own.
This ability to come up with these people to fit the problem, and it has to be an added value.
From these vats come cosmetics, soaps, toiletries, candles, and even incense. At Minnetonka Labs in Chanhassen, Minnesota, some bright young guys have gone very modern. In color, in design, in packaging, in marketing. It seems to be working. They've doubled in size every year since they've been in business. They expect to reach $100 million in sales in the very near future. And the concept of quality is very much a part of the game plan. Bob Taylor, president.
Well, quality is a feeling almost. It's got to start as a policy of top management, and then it's got to come down the line, and it's got to be reflected in everything you do, all the way from your offices to your stationery to your product quality that comes off the line. And if that attitude is not reflected by the top management, then you've got problems. And when you let up in one area, you're going to let up in many areas, even all the way to the look of your buildings. And we have that attention to detail, I think, probably is the way you could sum it up, attention to detail.
Larry Stordahl, Director, Information Services.
As we've grown and sort of outraced manual systems, the quality of our customer service has suffered because of it, because we just can't cope with the tremendous volumes, and the data processing system is really the key to improving the customer service. We've got the good quality product line. Now we have to work on improving our service. I think the computer is the basic key to doing that.
Larry Oppegard, Treasurer.
We selected IBM because of the service reputation that they have, because of their sales representation. They present themselves in a very marketing-oriented image. The costs were relatively the same, and given a break-even as far as costs are concerned, I very much wanted to go with the IBM people. I had a lot of confidence in them. They have a tremendous reputation, obviously.
You won't find a DP room in this establishment. And you won't find a table either, not without a reservation at least a day in advance. This is Lutece in New York City, acclaimed as one of the finest restaurants in the world. The master chef is André Saltner.
The meaning of craftsmanship is to find a feeling between the customer and yourself. You see, you do the best you can, and then when the customer is pleased, there is a little feeling between him and you. And when he leaves the restaurant, he sees you, he looks so happy, and he says, "Thank you very much." And normally we should thank him as a customer that he came in. But when we see in his eyes how happy he is, then we think our work was well done, and it's very happy. And that's for us much more important than money. Of course we have to be paid also because we have to live. And but that's secondary. What we're looking for is really to please the customer. It makes you very happy, you know. It's a very good feeling. Don't know how to tell you. You feel it inside.
Dedication is essential. Someone said recently about Willie Mays, and one can say it, I think, about any quality product, that the people who work on quality combine the enthusiasm of amateurs and the capabilities of professionals. And we've always had that here, enormous enthusiasm and enormous dedication, but pros. And you have to have both. You can't, just enthusiasm alone won't do it, but professionals without that enthusiasm and dedication aren't going to produce quality.
Joan Ganz Cooney, president of Children's Television Workshop.
Well, I think that it's very important that the leadership, even if it changes in the course of an ongoing project, if the leadership has excellence in mind, then excellence will remain the goal. For it can go on forever. I'm convinced of that. It's when the leadership starts lowering its standards that trickles down. Sesame Street has just completed its third season of broadcast. And the producer he was in my office recently, and what he said was, let's take the whole thing apart and start all over again and re-examine everything we're doing and create a whole new show and see if we can't get the quality of it up. Well, my attitude was, look, I think it's quite good. You have to take the whole thing apart, but if he wants to, he would be allowed to. that because anyone who wants to take anything apart to see if the quality can be made higher is allowed to here. That is the attitude of the organization and the leadership of it.
More often than not, quality breeds quality. In Houston, Chris Kraft, director of the Manned Space Center, gives an example.
We couldn't have done the moon operation, I don't believe, without the high-speed computer. On the other hand, the space program demanded from the computer industry those things which were required to do the job, and I believe that's one of the fundamental things that's great about the space program, is that it drove technology in certain directions to give a proper benefit to other walks of life other than the space flight program. Now, the IBM company, in performing on the contract that they had with NASA in the real-time computer complex that we have here in the Mission Control Center, were truly outstanding people. I don't look at the IBM company any other than I look at the civil servants who work for the Manned Spacecraft Center. They are just like, they're a part of the team as much as any of us are. They've performed marvelously. Their equipment has performed marvelously. They've gone out of their way to make it work.
Coming up on skirt step and tower jettison. Roger.
Chris Kraft was the flight director for projects Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo. Today, he oversees an operation that spans the globe, with an occasional branch office opening on the moon. He's worked with, for, and over all kinds of people. And he has his own yardstick for measuring quality.
Time, and Apollo 16 is in orbit.
Fundamentally, the thing that makes one guy better than another guy is pure desire. You see that over and over again. A man that wants to excel will excel. A man that doesn't want to excel won't.
Sometimes, desire can outreach the dream. Joseph Strauss wrote about his crowning ambition while still in college, to build a bridge connecting Asia and North America. He never realized that goal. But in his middle years, he seized upon an idea that men had talked about for a century and dismissed as impossible. In time, it would cost another 20 years and many millions of dollars. But in 1937, above 50 fathoms of treacherous ocean tides, the Golden Gate Bridge opened to traffic. There are those who say that the factor which made this remarkable engineering feat possible was simply one human being. But that one human being made all the difference. And perhaps that really is what added value is all about.